Hey guys, welcome to another impromptu, unscheduled live stream. This is going to be something a little bit different where I am trying to do one of those Ask Me Anythings. You may have seen some of your other YouTubers that you follow who do the same type of thing. And I figured, what the heck? Might as well give it a try. Let me double check my levels here. So it looks like my little meter's bouncing around. If you can hear me and see me, give me a thumbs up or a 1 in the live chat so that I can make sure that I'm actually talking to you guys and that it's all working. So let me adjust my chat window here. All right, the relationship doc. Hey, the relationship. Hey, hopefully I will be doing a collaboration with her soon. So thanks for jumping on. I appreciate that. Let's see. We got a few people on. We got Cam from all the way from France again. Divorce Papa. Why is there air? So that you can breathe it, Divorce Papa. That's why. Dimitri Gaines is online. Okay, so there are some questions, so I'll hit that in a minute. Let me just go through my normal little thing. And first thing, disclaimers. I am not a therapist. I am an individual, much like you guys, who's gone through a complicated and difficult divorce with kids involved and developed some tips and techniques over the course of 6 years that I am sharing with you guys, and hopefully to make your situation a little bit easier. Always, if you're going to make changes to your mental health or medical plan or anything, please consult a licensed professional to make sure that everything is good to go. The other thing I always like to hit, actually, let me do this real quick. The other thing I always like to hit is use the ability of YouTube to be anonymous if you are worried about your name being seen. I got an email from someone earlier today who's in the early stages of this and is worried about that. So if you are using, Bill Smith and that is your name and you're like, oh crap, I don't want people to know, you could change it to Phoenix of the Rising or something interesting, so that you have a little bit of anonymity. Have to be a little bit careful because it's still tied to your Google account and stuff like that. If you're really worried about it, just create a whole new email and an account associated with it, or you can create secondary accounts off your YouTube channel. So remember that. Diagnoses, which I kind of mentioned, well, haven't mentioned mentioning I was talking about therapists, but only a therapist or a clinician can actually do a diagnosis. Do not run around starting, playing armchair therapist and making diagnosis. It hurts your credibility and it could potentially blow up your face if you're still in court, if you're going around saying, I know my ex has NPD and, comorbid with borderline. Now, you may think that. You'll probably, if you have a therapist and they think that, if they do give you that little nugget of information, they will more than likely clarify it that it's not a diagnosis, that they're just making a possible observation that it could potentially be this. So if a therapist is not going to sit there and try to diagnose somebody from afar, and I'm not talking about the television ones who sit there and like to go about politicians and say what they are, but just keep that in mind because it can hurt you. Anyways, that's what this channel is all about. If you think that it could help you, please consider hitting the subscribe button and ringing that bell notification so that YouTube will actually, hopefully, tell you about my streams. I scheduled this an hour ahead of time, so hopefully you guys saw that. And the last thing is the newsletter. If you want to sign up for that, you can do that over at dadsurvivingdivorce.com. And a dialogue will pop up, or you can scroll down over to the right. Oh, you know what? Actually, since I'm actually not using Google Hangouts, I could actually bring it up. So, like, this would be the annoying dialogue box I was talking about. But if that's not there and you want to still sign up, you can scroll right on down, and it's right there. I do have a podcast, so there's links for the podcast right there. So check that out. I'm getting decent responses on that. So I hope you guys are happy. What day is it? What is it, Saturday? I hope you're having an outstanding Saturday morning, wherever you happen to be. Might be Saturday evening for some of the people on the other side of the planet. And I figured we will just run this and see how it goes. And I will just, if you guys ever had a question that you wanted to ask me, today would be the day to do that. So I am going to look and see who all we have on here. We got Cam, which I mentioned earlier, Divorce Papa, Alan Mackin. Hey, Alan, glad you could jump on. Andrew F. I can never say that name. I just call you E. E's on, and I will grab that question and put that in the slide so I can get that in a minute. At least I can try to get that in a minute. And let's see. Okay, Leslie's on spiritually empowered coaching. So I don't know if she's still in the Dominica, but I think she's out of the country still. Pam Loader. Hey, Pam, I don't think I've seen you on before, so welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. Queen of Three Kings. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. Mike Richer says, hey, I've got a bit of a different situation from your normal divorce and the narcissist situation, but you're definitely loud and clear. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And all right, so let me, we got John Boston up here. Odessa is on. Leslie says she's still in the Dominican. So if you guys follow her on Instagram, maybe on Facebook, I can't remember if she's been posting that there, you will see pictures of how beautiful it is there. It's pretty awesome. I wish I was there instead of in the desert of California. The relationship doctor says, yes, I created the term hijackals. I wonder if I can, let me pull up. Anyways, let me finish reading that. I got sidetracked. So we can talk about the patterns, traits, and cycles of these folks, a non-clinical term for the behaviors, and that's what matters, right? Yeah, see, that's really, I don't know if you guys are familiar with her channel. You can click on a little dots next to her name and go over there. But I think what she's doing is really fascinating with that term by taking it and not calling it a medical term, right? Like narcissist and NPD and stuff like that's a medical term, which, like I was talking about earlier, can get you in trouble. It's a way to couch it in a term to where you can discuss it without the word narcissist has been used so darn much that I think it's losing its effectiveness in saying that. Because nowadays, if you say, "Oh, he's a narcissist," well, what does that even mean anymore, right? I mean, mainstream media, mainstream population, they don't really understand what it is. They just think, oh, it's somebody who's self-centered. Oh, it's somebody who just takes too many selfies of themselves. I mean, and there's a heck of a lot more to it than that. And also, if you start doing that and you're using those other terms, you can rest assured there's a pretty darn good chance that your ex is going to, if they find out about it, will try to use that to say, you're smearing them. You're trying to do an alienation campaign against them. And the kids need to be protected from you, which could potentially blow up in your face. So I am going to, let's see, the relationship doctor. I'm going to see if I can pull up her channel. And that did not work. Let me see. Let me try this again. Go to users channel. And it's taking, there it is. There it is. Let me grab that. I'll do that over here. And no, not the encryption key. Oh my gosh, why does it have to be so complicated? All right, let's see here. There we go. That's who we're talking about. Roberta Shaler, PhD. I think she's done a couple of, maybe an interview with Tracy Malone. So, but that's who we're talking about. So, a lot of good information there. All right. Oh, now I've lost my chat. Where'd the chat go? Okay. All right. Let me jump over to the questions and stuff. Again, what I was going to say on this, if you guys ever had a question you wanted to ask me, like I tell you what, I'll start out with the one that everyone always asks me. I always get this in the comments and or emails. Does my ex know about this channel? As far as I know, my ex does not know about this channel, and that is by design. This is not to smear her. This is not to get back at her. This whole purpose of this channel is to help people get their lives back, not to lash out at their ex. Now, granted, I do use some of my stories, but I don't use her name. I don't use my real name, or at least my real last name, on this channel. And I try to keep it, I mean, obviously I do, like I said, mention some of my story. But I'm not out here showing pictures and using her name and showing an address map on her where she's at. I think one time I accidentally brought up a screen that had her name on it, and I deleted that or edited that video out. But yeah, I mean that's what this isn't about. So if you were going to ask, hey, does your ex know about this? My understanding is the answer is no, because there has been no fallout on this. And again, that's by design. If you guys watch most of my videos, I talk about the fact that I think that if she thinks that I'm angry and bitter and disgruntled, it's keeping my situation relatively stable. So I think if she was watching this, I'm pretty much sharing everything and my approach on anything. So somebody would have a pretty darn good channel or good way to attack me, basically. So, and by the way, my daughter, my lovely daughter, got me, I don't know if you guys can read this, got me this cool little cup. It says, "Who needs a superhero when you have dad?" Which the funny part was is that she got that for me after Christmas, and then she was like, "Hey, Dad," because she's senior in high school, is doing a bunch of art stuff, and I knew she needed some specific stuff, so it wasn't a cop out, but I did give her cash and a sketchbook. And the reason I did that is because I knew that she needed specific pens and stuff that I didn't know. So she went and did her, went and got everything, and I was like, "Hey, I want to show you what I got," and she wanted to come by and give me the coffee cup. So I got a coffee cup, and luckily I love coffee. But I would try not to drink it in the microphone because that sounds annoying. Okay, so let me pull up this question right here. And by the way, I don't think we won't have a mod in this for a while. So if something goes wrong, if somebody could "Hey, Duane, check things out," because I'm going to be running all the duties on this. Okay, so the first one is from E. It says, Did you ever cycle in and out with difficult separations with your ex before the final divorce? I'm ashamed to admit I had several. No, I personally, there was just the one. Now, was I throughout the years thinking that I should leave? Yes, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready yet to make that decision. I wasn't ready yet to accept the reality, and it was just too soon for me. So I never left. Now, to be perfectly honest, full disclosure, when I did leave, there was a hope in my mind that what I feared wasn't true. Now, granted, keep in mind, at the beginning, I didn't realize what I was dealing with. I hoped that by leaving, that it would be the catalyst of change, and would improve the relationship. And as you guys know, as soon as a narcissistic personality type or a hijackal makes that determination that you are no longer a suitable source of supply, they turn on you in an instant. You are no longer of any value, and they can flip that switch in a moment and basically treat you like you never existed, which is really, really tough. But you know what? You don't worry about it, man. I mean, all of us have to go through our own process to do this. I got an email from, or it was either email or comment from an individual who had mentioned about going back, right? That they got hoovered back in and they gave them another chance, and it was a colossal disaster, which it typically is. The key point on this is until you are at the point that you believe it, that it clicks in your head, that you're like, I get it, I know what I'm dealing with now, and it's sad to say that you can touch the pan and burn yourself, and typically if you do that, you're like, oh crap, pan's hot, I need to be careful of that. You don't necessarily have that same type of reaction in a relationship. You step away because you get burned, right, from the relationship, and then as your little wound heals, as your finger starts feeling a little bit better, when they hoover back around, you're like, well, maybe it's not that. Maybe I'll give it another try. I think it's very typical, unfortunately, for people to go back, or at least walk into the vortex of chaos and get burned again. And until you get to the point where you believe fundamentally that what you're dealing with is legitimately accurate and true, you're not ready, right? That's why we all have to operate, or we all operate on our own timeline on this, and that's okay. I mean, it sucks, but don't feel bad about it. So let me look. Oh, that was another question. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. All right, E had another question. Oh, and on this, guys, if you guys want to ask me, I'm kind of opening this up to personal stuff. So if you want to ask me anything specifically about me or whatever, feel free to do it. Doesn't have to be about this channel. There are some things that will be off the limit. Like if you say, what's your LinkedIn profile? I'm not going to show you that. I'm not going to show you my address. I'm not going to show you, my kids' names or anything like that. But within reason, anything other than that would be the off limits part. Okay, so E had another question. Did your ex have a habit of posting photo after photo of herself on social media and greatly embellishing her accomplishments on them? Mine did. E, that is a very common thing that happens. I would say I don't know because effectively the ex banned me or blocked me. I actually defriended her initially because I didn't want to see that. Right? I don't know about you, but it's pretty damn painful when you still have an emotional connection with your ex, and they're posting basically about how great their life is that you're not part of it. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I would highly encourage you to stop looking, and I've made videos on this before, stop looking at your ex's social media. Get off social media or block them. Or luckily, in my situation, like I mentioned, my ex blocked me, so I couldn't see her stuff. And don't do it to yourself. It's not. It doesn't help you, and it's fundamentally irrelevant. I initially had made in my mind, I had come up with the idea in my brilliant thought process. And all this was really, guys, was an excuse so I could look. And that was, I need to know what she's saying because I need to have an idea what she's planning so I can be ready for it. And you know what? I didn't learn anything that she's planning, but I did make myself feel miserable and I did keep myself connected to her for a really long time. So, Divorce Papa says that's awesome mug. That's an awesome mug. Thank you very much. I really liked it. It was pretty cool. Let's see. The Kit Kat had said the pictures are of course beautiful. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me see what Kit Kat had said. Right here. Kit Kat says DSD. He married her last night. Kids were in the wedding and seem excited about the addition. It's been tricky this morning. I know I've never had. Wait a minute. I know I never want him back, but eyes swollen. Talk me down. Kit Kat, I mean, see guys, here's the thing on this is we're still, okay, the reality of all this is we are still connected with our exes. You know what? And I'm still connected. I mean, I've had 6 years of time to deal with this and to make my peace with it. But there's still that connection. There's still that emotional feeling associated with it. It doesn't matter how much pain they put you through. You were connected to the person. You loved the person. You had this future vision of what your life was going to be like. And in an instant, poof, it blew apart. And it's only common to then wonder, think about it. They start doing something and you're like, oh my God, what? Why wouldn't they do that with me? They weren't happy with me. They're super happy with the other person. They're, this or that. The thing I generally try to remind people is remember back whenever you started a relationship. Did you start that relationship feeling like they were treating you like crap, like it was nasty and it was horrible? Probably not, because if it was, you probably wouldn't have stayed. There was some type of connection. And even if they did do some things back then, there was enough of the facade to keep you kind of in line. So not in line. Line's not the right word, but to keep you fixated on that vision of what you thought, of what you think it's supposed to, or what your relationship is going to be, that you discount it. It's like, oh, well, they're having a bad day. Oh, they're just, whatever. You might even blame yourself. You're like, oh, I pushed their buttons and that's why they reacted that way. That's very normal. And then once they remarry and they start having another relationship or whatever, there's oftentimes, like you're talking about, where you just feel really down. So here's the thing. So the short version of this Kit Kat is, more than likely, it's not real. More than likely, they are in the illusion stage and it's all fake, like it was with us. Here's the other thing I want to mention on this, is even if it's not, even let's say your ex is not NPD or has these issues, how did you feel with them? Did they make you feel loved? Did they make you feel respected? Did you feel like you had a partner? Or did you feel like you were always on pins and needles? Was it effectively a bad relationship? And that is the key. That's the thing to remember, because it could, bare minimum, it could just be that that you guys were not compatible with each other. Okay. But if you go to, let me flick back over here, which is going to start my stupid thing playing again, like it always does. I'm trying to bring up my channel. Oh no, it won't, because I'm doing this. All right. What I want to say is, if you scroll down to my mindset for narcissistic abuse recovery, That's what this whole video, the second video, absolute thinking. I know that it's a what do you call it? A concept that really typically you would not recommend. But what I'm saying in this is just accept or basically say, you know what? I don't have a diagnosis. I don't know what they are. But in my mind, they're NPD or they're borderline or they're whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, and you just stop thinking it. You stop questioning it. That's your reality. Use the information that you know for how to deal with these type of toxic people, personality types, and start implementing it. More than likely, it's going to work because they all follow patterns, and it'll start putting your life back on track. Okay, so let me scroll back down. And you had said, where was it? Kit Kat had said, the pictures, of course, are of course beautiful. Having a hard time separating what I know and what I feel. I have no idea why it hurts. I'm free and lucky, just feeling confused. And I think that is very common. And I'm going to pause for 1 minute because I have my window open and their neighbors are out doing stuff and it's incredibly distracting. So stand by one. I'll be right back. Okay, that's much better. That was driving me crazy. Plus, I realized that my phone was on really low volume and I was hearing myself in the background. I was hearing my own voice. Okay, let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see. All right, Divorced Papa has a question, so let me grab that up. Whoa, select all, paste, click. All right, the question is, do you still get text from the ex that push a button? Do you start a reply and then go no and cancel? I find I'm doing that a lot lately and try to keep it to yes and no answers. For me personally, no, not anymore. Probably a couple of years ago, I would have, but see, she hasn't texted me in a long time. One of the things that in our little situation, whenever I was not wanting to do one-on-one communication, she wanted to do text and, no, not text. She wanted to talk. Anyway, bottom line is we don't text each other. The last time I texted her was whenever I told you guys about that weird phone call I got saying, "Hi, we're UPS. We just want to know if you're home." And they used her name and her address. Are you there? Because we don't want to drive out there and deliver the package if you're not there. Is that freaking creepy or what? I mean, that freaked me out. And then I was like, crap, man, if I don't do anything and something happens, I'm going to feel horrible. So I texted her, I wrote her an email, which she won't read my emails most of the time. So then I texted her saying, hey, you might want to, I sent you an email. It was kind of weird. You might want to check it out. All right, guys, let's see. So hopefully that answered your question. Oh, the other thing on that I'll say, Divorced Papa, is it gets easier with time. It took me a long time to get to where I am. I mean, we're talking 6 years, right? 6 years for me to get where I am today. So it takes time. You're still going to have those initial, PTSD type responses. And unfortunately, that's normal, but it just gets better after time. Oh, I see another question from, all right, hold on. All right. Jazzymay says, did you struggle with being hypervigilant, paranoid? Yeah. And seeing narcissist traits in everyone? I'm worried about my belief in all humanity at this point. Yes, I did, Jazzymay. And that is very typical. I mean, you've been significantly hurt. So you're going to be hypersensitive to allowing toxic people back in your life. And you're going to start seeing narcissistic type behavior because, see, guys, here's the thing. Narcissistic behavior is a normal trait, right? There is a healthy level of narcissism for your own self-preservation that's okay. So you will see some of that, but it's whenever it starts negatively affecting your life or their narcissistic behavior is it negatively affecting your life. But here's the thing, Jazzymay. So give yourself the time to deal with all this. Give yourself the time to heal. And don't think that, this is for everybody, do not think that where you feel today is going to be your forever. Especially in the early part of this, right? In the early days of this, you are still hurt. You are still grieving the loss of the relationship. You're still dealing with the anger and the pain and all the consequences that happen with it, right? So it's going to take time to heal it. I've often used the example of a physical injury. If you go skiing and you fall down and break your leg, you are not going to be you're not going to be skiing the next day. You're going to have to go to the doctor. You're going to have to get it fixed. You're going to be on pain medications. There's going to be a period of time where you're not going to be able to move. And then after that period of time, when that's kind of healed, then you're going to be going to physical therapy to try to regain your not your emotions, but your movement. It's along the same lines. Sure, this is an emotional injury, but it's still an injury. It's still something that you have to go through a process to fix. You cannot expect, unless you have, you could just turn off your emotions, which means you're probably not, on this channel. You have to heal from this, and that's incredibly normal. So let's see what else we got going on. Yeah, he had said to his comment before, he meant during the marriage. I thought I hit that, but if not, I am, no, I did not have any, I did not actually leave throughout the marriage. There were a couple times where I got so irritated I went for a long drive, but that was about the extent of it. But keep in mind, I was incredibly, probably codependent, and I was scared to death that I was going to lose the relationship. And there was a lot of times I did not stand up for what bothered me or for my emotional needs to be met because I was afraid that I was going to push her away and she was going to leave me. Right? I mean, and that dovetails into the very good topic of boundaries. Guys, it is so important to have good boundaries. And this is, and to get emotionally healthy, because see, what happens is that if you are, or when you get to that point, if you're with somebody and they start showing signs that they're not respecting you and their mask is starting to slip, you're not going to be one of those type of people that says, oh my God, this isn't that bad because let's see, it's not that bad and I don't want to be alone. Okay, so it's not that bad, right? It'll be one of those things where it's like, this behavior, I don't know, the behavior, let's see, we'll call this a behavior. That's my little clicker. This is unacceptable. And because you have good boundaries and you're not scared to be alone, you would say, I'll use Bill. I'll say, you would say, Bill, buddy, we need to talk about this because this isn't acceptable. This isn't good. You're disrespecting me. You're not doing, you're not that you're trying to control them, but you're saying, this is a deal breaker. I'm not going to deal with this. And when you're emotionally healthy, if they say, well, I'm not going to change, you can't control me, then you say, okay, hey, well, we had some good times. Have a nice life. There's the door, right? It's whenever you're not emotionally healthy that you're like, oh my crap, oh my God, if I bring that up, what's the consequence? Are they going to rage at me? Are they going to punish me? Are they going to ignore me? Are they going to give me the silent treatment? All those type of things. But when you're emotionally healthy, you're like, no, wait a minute. I'm not worried about this because one, if you do give me the silent treatment, that's a deal breaker. If you do rage at me, that's a deal breaker. If you ghost me, take your crap on your way out, that type of thing, right? And I'm saying this now, but I completely understand that, especially for people who aren't ready for that and they're getting their validation from the other person, it's incredibly tough. I have friends who are in horrible relationships and they've blown apart and they are so desperate for that person back that they gave away the farm. And it's really sad, but sometimes people do that. The one nice thing about, with you guys being on this channel and looking at information like this is it means your mind is open, you're looking for answers, you're getting those answers, and hopefully the end result of this is you will be a more emotionally stable and healthy person to where you will never, ever, ever, ever get back into a toxic situation like this. Well, let me back up. There's a chance that you might end up in it because they start out fake. They start out saying, oh, you're into books? I'm into books. You like coffee? I like coffee. Oh, you like tiny houses? Let's watch videos on tiny houses. Tiny houses are pretty cool, by the way. And they basically mimic everything that you would want, and you're like, oh my God. Now, I think for most of us now, we would be like, that's a little weird. And you might do some tests. Really? what kind of coffee do you like? What brand do you like? I mean, where you can actually kind of discern whether it's legit or it's not. And guys, I fell into that. I mean, when I started dating my ex, it was like, oh my God, I found my soulmate. We have the same goals. One, we both came from troubled backgrounds. We both had divorced families and estranged relationships with our fathers. So I was like, oh, wow, we get each other. We got that connection. And then it was all the love bombing and mirroring. And I was like, oh my God, she's got, not desires, but, ambitions and goals. And we're going to build a life together and it's going to be awesome. And we're in it together. It was all, it was all a lie. It was tragic, but I wanted it so bad. So bad. 21 years. It wasn't until the end where I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep living like this. All right, let me see where else we got going on here. Oh, see, I wasn't even scrolling down. The whole chat was just paused. So let me see where we are. And Jazzymay says they are definitely hyper-focused on social media. Okay, think about it. Social media is a freaking illusion, right? I mean, think about how much do they talk about how, people are like, they do that. Nobody take a screen capture of that, by the way. And then they're depressed at, they take the picture and then they're like, and they're miserable, but they're trying to put on an illusion. And it really sucks because the bad part about that is everybody is trying to compare themselves with other people. And you're like, oh man, they're happy. I'm not happy. Why do they seem happy all the time? Because it's freaking fake. Even people that aren't like this. I mean, how often, well, I'll say, how often do people on social media, show their dark side? There are those people who are like, they'll grab their phone and go, blip, blip, blip. Today's so hard. I don't even know what I'm going to do. Right? Just to get people to say, oh, Duane, what's wrong? What's going on? I don't want to talk about it. I won't post it here. Right? I mean, why do people even put up with that crap? Get that garbage out of your life. Push it out. Go away. Anyways, all right. I feel like I'm getting behind. Let me see. Ever? Ooh, Jim. You didn't put question in front of that, but I like that one, so I am going to post that one. Well, I'm going to try to post that one. And Jim says, ever heard of an ex being angrier after divorce and taking it out on the kids as well? Yes, absolutely. Yes. And here's the thing. Sometimes people will, okay, in my situation, I'm the one who left, but, excuse me, as soon as they lose control, I mean, a lot of it's about control, right? Sometimes people will play, they'll roll the dice. That was a bad sound for rolling dice, but just pretend that's what that was. And they will try to do it to get you to come back, to basically grovel back. And when that doesn't happen, they are, okay, I haven't heard, the last mutual friend of my ex just moved. But every once in a while, we'd have conversations, and guys, 6 years after the fact, the ex is still bitching about, what a piece of crap I am. Is still angry and bitter about what's happened. And they don't let it go. And if they can't attack you, if they can't get to you directly, then they typically pivot to the kids. And then they start punishing the kids, which is in some ways is try to get you to re-engage with them, and to make you feel like crap. So yeah, Jim, that is incredibly common. Oh, Purple had a question. And let me grab this. Keynote. Purple Belt says, my ex won't respond to a simple email question regarding son's schedule. How do I manage to co-parent and let my 17-year-old know there's no communication with his dad? Okay. One, you can't co-parent with a narcissistic personality type, but you already know that. But I get it because that's what we're trying to do. This is what you do. You tell Jimmy, I'm going to say that your son's name is Jimmy. You tell your 17-year-old Jimmy, I sent your dad an email asking about the question, and he hasn't responded yet. So I'm trying to get a hold of him, buddy, but it just isn't working. And I know that's still involving them, but that's about the only thing you can do. And unfortunately, the reality of our situations, unfortunately, and I know a therapist, if Roberta's still on, you absolutely shouldn't do this. But what do I mean by this? Most of the time, change is caused by the kids. If the kids are in fear of the other person and they won't engage, nothing's going to change. You will never be able to get them to respond. You are not perfect. You're not going to be able to say, Bill, come on. I sent you an email about this. Please respond. Not going to happen. I used to try to do that. And what I would do is I would send the email. I would send the email saying, hey, let's do this on the 5th or whatever. Whatever it is. Whatever. This is the thing. No response. I would forward that email again. This is a response to the email I sent you on Tuesday. It's now Wednesday or Thursday or whatever. I used to wait 2 days. And then I do it again, and I do it again. And then there would be this long train of emails. And then what I would get is, you're harassing me. Stop sending me you don't need, stop sending me the same question over and over again. It's a baiting tactic, Purple. It's a baiting tactic. What I would say on that, honestly, this is what I would say. I would say, let's say hypothetically, let me scroll down and see if you have said anything else. Hold on. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought somebody said something from work. Let's see if Purple said anything else so I can make sure. If there's more on this. Purple. I'm trying to do a search for Purple. Okay, so why am I obsessing about the new supplier reveal at our 17-year-old's hockey game? And what can I do about it? 1 year later, after 25 years, the ex says he's living with a gal and her 3 kids. Purple, it is, let me go over here, black hole thinking. Rewatch let me get over here. Where is it? Go back over to the mindset, black hole thinking. Watch that again. It's because you got to get it out of your head what's going on over there, because it's going to drive you crazy, because you're going to be questioning 25 years. Now it's somebody new. I mean, if they're younger, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if the person looks like, the troll under the bridge. You're still going to be going, what? If they're, 22-year-old, and it's completely inappropriate, my opinion, by the way, you're going to be freaked out. If it's it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got to stop thinking about what they're doing. It's tough though. It's tough when they're sitting there and they're like, "Oh, hey, check out my oh, this is my new girlfriend, Julia. Hi, Purple. How are you?" Right? I mean, it's just crap, and sometimes it's for effect. Most of the time it is. Did you say they actually got married? Reveal. Yeah. And it could even be that it's not even a real relationship. It's just somebody that he knows, like, hey, will you help me make my ex-wife miserable? Just show up at the game and just pretend like we're going out. It may not be that, but it doesn't matter. It just, what's the analogies people use? Don't, if you take the trash out, you don't go back and bring it back in the house. Our exes are past, right? We got to remember that. What I was going to say is, let's see, I kind of lost my, back on that other question. So let's say hypothetically, you want to do something with your son, and you're like, hey, Bill, I know it's your weekend, but Johnny and I want to go see this, whatever. Let's say it's a conference, or it's like the example I use it with my ex with the con. It's a con, one of those fandom con things, where we're gonna go and talk to or go to the panel for the movie, whatever, Lord of the Rings, whatever the heck it is, right? You send the email, and when your son says, hey, so we're going to be able to do it, you say, hey, Johnny, trying to keep my name straight here, sent the email to your dad, he hasn't responded. If he responds, great, want to go, that would be awesome. But who knows? If he doesn't answer, I guess the answer is no, and leave it that way. And then if it's important enough to your son, they will probably ask the other parent. And actually, that's kind of the crap that happens with mine. If the ex sends me something, the kids are like, Mommy sent you an email, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? I'm like, yeah, sure. And you know what, guys? I've told you before that I've done the pivot to where I focus on what the kids want. So if my kids, okay, the caveat would be if the kids came over and said, Daddy, I don't want to live here anymore. I want to live with mommy. I don't know exactly how I would deal with it. Well, one, let's see. I only have, okay, my middle daughter is, almost 18. So that is almost done. So, I don't know about that one. The youngest one, I still got 5 years left. That would be a tough one. I'm not sure what I would do. But anything else, it's like, oh, hey, we're going to do this. If it's important to the kids, I'm not going to say no just to say no. My goal has always been to try to accomplish and bend over backwards to do what I can for the kids. That was harder to do in the beginning whenever the ex would play these stupid games. And I would, I knew that I was being manipulated, but I've been able to pivot my perspective. I've been able to go whoop and change it to where that's kind of the way I look at it now. It's like, okay, if it's important to the kids, I don't care. For instance, in the past, giving my kids cash or a gift card or something that I wouldn't be able to take them out with, I would have a little bit of a problem with that. It's like, so the mom, or in my situation, the other parent gets to go out and basically have the joy of doing that. And it's like, I don't care anymore, right? I know my kids, and come on, check out this cup. How can you not realize that my daughter actually cares about me? Because I got a coffee mug that says it. To be honest, I think that's the first Christmas present I've gotten from them in a long time. But, anyways, I digress. Let's see what else oh, wow, we got all kinds of questions. All right, let me do a search on questions. Question. Okay. All right, let me go. All right, read that one. Ooh. Oh, that's a good one. So Andrew had asked, is there a simplified way to deal with it when the ex forces a situation behind my back? For example, I made a doctor's appointment and she went ahead and rescheduled it. Your best approach on that is to not get angry about it. And if you can, this is what I would do if you can, okay? Because more than likely she rescheduled it so that she could go, is show up if you can take the time off. Now, probably, because I have a really flexible schedule, I am very lucky in that regard. So it would be, I could see how it would be more complicated to move that around, right? Like I could see if you're like, okay, I scheduled that appointment for Tuesday because I got the time off, or it's my day off or whatever, and then she scheduled it for a time that you can't attend. Here's the thing, document it and try to let it go. Now, I get it because I know that in the beginning I was like, well, I got to participate. I got to do these things too because, I need to show that I'm involved too, right? Guys, for the most part, unless you are just in a knockdown, drag-out battle that's going to keep going on and you have the money to keep going back to court, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to drive yourself insane. Kind of going back to the little example I was just using a second ago about the money, right? Giving my daughter some cash to go buy art supplies and being worried that mommy is going to take her and they're going to spend, in some ways it's annoying. So they spent the entire day in town. They got to go to all the stores. They had all the excitement and, what about this? What about that? Let's go get some coffee. Let's go, yada, yada, yada. But it doesn't matter, right? It's about the connection you have with your kids and what makes them happy, right? And here's the thing, when you come to that realization, a lot of this other stuff, it actually starts making things better because your kids are going to feel less stress around it. Okay, now back on this, Andrew, the only thing I would say potentially on this is if you're in the midst of a custody battle or a court battle and you're just trying to, and they're playing these stupid games, engage with your attorney to tell them to knock it off. That you get whatever. But there's a lot more nuances behind it. With all things being equal, it's hard to say. But I would try not to let it get under your skin because that's what it's made for. you know? And if you want to, then you could turn around and cancel her appointment. I mean, you know, what my ex used to do to me way back when is she either wouldn't tell me about the appointments, or one of them, when we were trying to get therapy for the kids, she literally wouldn't tell me, and I got a text saying, "Oh, by the way, we're on our way. Dr. Smith." So I'm like, okay. I called Dr. Smith. Actually, I think she did text me a day before, and I'm like, well, hey, it's 50-50 custody. You know, I don't know. You know, do you understand this situation? She had lied to him. She said that she had, uh, uh, she was the custodial parent and had all authority to do anything. The guy didn't realize it was 50-50 joint. And basically he's like, nope, never mind. Pissed her off. Ooh, I didn't mean to say that. It made her slightly angry whenever he called her and said, hey, I can't see you. Right. So she freaked out, but it's a control mechanism. And you know, whatever. I mean, I appreciate who the kids ultimately went to, and I didn't trust her, right? For my situation back then, the problem was I felt that she was therapist shopping to try to find somebody who would say the kids needed to be with her, they didn't like me, and that. So I was very paranoid about that. Somebody had asked a question about being paranoid before, and that was absolutely a situation I had. So hopefully, Andrew, that was helpful. I know that was oh my God, that was a long time ago. Let me scroll down and see what else we got going on. Okay, let's see. Personal question. Good. Kit Kat had asked me, Duane, personal question. I don't know about this. Did your ex remarry, go through several relationships, stay single? Currently, she is single. She's been very very closed about her relationships. The kids only recently started mentioning some things on that. She has no incentive really to remarry until it's too much money, right? I mean, the alimony's not too bad, but there's no incentive for it right now. So I mean, maybe after my next daughter drops off, there might be more of an incentive for her to get married. I ultimately think that's what's going to happen, is that she'll find somebody who will take care of her, so she still doesn't have to work. But I don't know, you know. And the grand scheme of things, going back to, no, not that one, black hole thinking, I don't really care. You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, there are some things that would be nice if she did do some, you know, got remarried or whatever, to lower the amount of money it's costing me, so I could kind of, you know, dig myself out of the hole. But excuse me, I don't care anymore. To be perfectly honest, I was actually talking to Debbie about this the other day. I'm actually grateful that she hasn't really, as far as I know, been dating, because I know the type of people she picks. I know the type of people she hangs out with. And to be perfectly honest, if she would have picked one of them, I am scared to death of what would have happened to the kids. I think that they would have dealt with some extra trauma that would have been not so good. So, her being single has actually been a blessing in disguise. It's been an expensive blessing, not lesson, but nonetheless, there are some benefits from it. But that's, you know what? But that's not normal. If your ex has histrionic type traits, more than likely they are going to, oh, you know what? Anyways, I just thought I'd throw that out. Oh, wow. I lost some viewers on that one. Okay, let me scroll down to the bottom because I am all over the place on that. If I didn't answer your question, just put it down. Oh, no sound. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Did you guys lose the sound? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? There we go. All right. Sherry. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cheat because Apple stuff will say stuff, so I'm going to do it this way. Sherry Bianchi says, my question, my ex doesn't have any parental visitation in the divorce decree. Wow. I have full legal and physical custody. I have tried to let him see her in public, but of course he wants her on the weekends. Well, Sherry, I am not required to legally, is that considered parental alienation? I don't consider that parental alienation. Sherry, do you go around telling your, what is it, did you say? Okay, you didn't say what kind of kid you have. You don't go around telling your kids that daddy's a worthless piece of crap and you need to stay away from him and he's horrible. Do you do that? Or do you just not talk about it unless the kids talk to you about it? You know, I mean, parental alienation. Okay, parental alienation is whenever you're actively, okay, one, let me back up. You have a divorce decree that said he has 0 visitation. You know, that happened for a reason. Okay, let's just say hypothetically, he didn't show up and you went to court and you said, you know, I want full custody. And your attorney, you know, says, okay, well, you know, we'll put this in here, and he doesn't show up, and the judge goes, dink. Well, I mean, is that parental alienation? Not necessarily. You know, I mean, I guess the question is do you want, let me back up, Shuri. Why does he not have any visitation? Typically, there's a reason. And if there's a reason, it's the court has deemed that either that or you guys agreed, which would that be an idiotic move on his part, that he has agreed to do that. You know, here's the thing. You know, he has the ability, he can go back to court and say, hey, family court of state of whatever, I want to have some type of visitation with my child. You know, I want to have, some custody. Right now, you have full legal and physical custody. That means, it's kind of like if your creepy neighbor down the road says, hi, Cherie, I want to hang out with your kids. You're like, no, that'll be a no. Go back in your van, drive away. There's a place down by the river. Go hang out there. Anyways, let me see if, obviously that's a loaded question because there's probably a lot more to that. Okay, and let's see. Okay, I'm gonna have to have it say this one too. Andrei Stefan says, actually he wrote it as a question, so I'm gonna paste it. If you guys write it as a question, or put question in there, I will put it on a slide. Says DSD, I know you've talked briefly about your relationship with your parents in another video. Can you talk about how you handled that after you realized that something's not quite right? Great question. And let's see. What I did on that is I started to set up boundaries like with my mom, and because I got tired of the toxic, it was like one of those things where it was constantly like this, just subtle put downs. You know, pretty much if there was anything positive going on, it was like she wanted to control my emotions and would decide whether I could be happy about something. And it got exhausting. And I was starting to grow emotionally. And I kind of basically said, you know what, I'm going to phase out. So I stopped talking to her all the time. And she freaked out, narcissistic rage to the nth degree. And it just progressively got worse. Even with that, I was feeling guilty. And it's kind of crazy because towards the end of this, I started like, okay, I can't do this forever. And started trying to at least have some kind of communications with her, let her see the kids and stuff like that. And her response, since it wasn't enough, was, oh, I'm going to make friends with your ex and go hang out with her. And I was like, that was enough for me. I'm like, I'm done. Thank you very much. Have a nice life. I hope you enjoy your time with my ex and your ex-sister or daughter-in-law. So whatever. You know what? Consequences for actions. And it was tough. It was tough to do that. And, but it's made my life, I didn't do it out of anger. It was just like, I can't do it anymore. I can't allow this crap in my life anymore. Anyways. The relationship doctor had to run. So thanks, Duane. What a great thing you're doing here. Have to run. Probably, if you're still here, I will ping. We're trying to work up a time so where we can do some conversations and maybe a collab. So hopefully that will happen. All right. Escalade says, how to do black hole thinking when your new primary supply victim X has brought in to be with children, has a violent criminal background? Here's the thing, and that's a good question. And what I would say on that, if you have some leg to stand on to go to court, then you go to court. If not, there's not much, you guys, there's not much we can force our exes to do, right? I mean, unless they're doing something illegal or something that you can really, get child protective services involved. But you have to be incredibly careful of that, because if you play that game and, okay, so let's say the person has a violent criminal background and he's cured, right? That was because of whatever reason he did his time, he did whatever. How is it going to, I mean, what's going to happen with it, right? Now, if that person is abusing your child, that's a different story. And that's kind of where you're at. And it's really tough, because if your ex is doing stuff you don't like, you don't have a lot of ways to affect change unless you can go to court. And going to court is incredibly complicated. I mean, I know people who have, you would think, slam dunk cases, and they are battling it out, not getting where they need to go, trying to fix it. I don't know if that really covers your question, E, but and I feel for you, man. And that's kind of where the black hole thinking is too. It's like, and a lot of times, like in that video, it's like, if it isn't where you would be calling 911 right now because of what's going on, you have to let it go. The only caveat on that is if the kids are begging you to do something different, and, then you go to court and say, hey, this is messed up. This is negatively affecting the kids. We need to have a custody change, and try to battle it out. And you may lose, and it may cost you a ton of money to ultimately lose. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So that's my thought on that. All right, let me scroll down. Hey, Gray, I see you're on. Glad you could jump on. Kit Kat locked my van down by the river comment. Michael, if you're on the live stream, thanks for subscribing. And did you guys hear the audio with that? I don't know if that played. Oh, okay, so let's see. Sherry had to answer some other things. Says, okay, so she's 4 years. All right. See, this is what happens whenever I do that, and I'm not down at the bottom, so the chat doesn't move, so I don't see what's current. Which is one reason why I used to keep it over here, because that way when I'm looking at the live thing, I can see what's live. But as you guys know, I've since taken that out. All right, let's see. All right, where is it at? Okay. Okay, so Sherry says, yes, correct. I represented myself. The judge was pretty angry with the fact that he cost us 3 homes in a year. The same judge gave me a PPO against him a year before. Well, then he did it to himself, right? I mean, unless you're a narcissistic mastermind and you just pushed his buttons to make it happen, which, I mean, there are people who do that, but you're typically not on this channel, then, he did it to himself. I mean, to be perfectly honest, here's the thing, guys. If you let's say hypothetically that your ex is pushing your buttons to try to set that up, if you act in a way to demonstrate that you're a problem, you're hurting yourself. And I mean, and hey, there are some people who hang out on the channel, even some moms, who've got caught up in that. Their buttons were pushed, they said and did the wrong thing at the wrong time, and their ex was able to leverage that and just torpedo them, and either completely get no custody for them or really limited or supervised visitation. Okay, E had asked a question. What was your mother-in-law like? Do you think she was MPD too? I'm fairly certain my ex is 3rd generation MPD matriarch. I fear for our daughters becoming the 4th. Her mom was a little weird, and the relationship that she married the guy was really weird. I mean, let me put it this way: my ex brother-in-law or step-brother-in-law had actually basically said, "Dude, I will write whatever you need because I wouldn't want my worst enemy's kids to have to be around my dad and my stepmom whenever the ex was trying to move back to where her mom and stepfather were." All right, let's see. So what else did Sherry say? Let's see if I missed anything else. Oh, you have a 4-year-old. Okay. Oh, okay. Kit Kat had asked, personal. I was curious because since narcs can't be alone, where does she draw her supply from the past 6 years? The kids. She gets it from the kids. And then she gets it from, when she's by herself and she's hanging around with whomever she's hanging around with, then she can play the victim and, play the single mommy and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's been my situation. She gets it from, see, the problem is she's never really been into relationships and she's not into, physical stuff. And so I don't think that's a big thing for her. So she just, she likes to play with the kids. So even though they're 19, 17, and 13. So anyways, all right, let's see where we are. Any other things? Did I miss anything? Already answered blues, not blues, ease. Alistair McAllister. That's a cool name. Says, hi, hey, Duane, I still remind myself of the 911 tip from that video. Have to let so much pass that I would have normally reacted to. Yeah, it's tough, Alistair. I mean, it's one of those things where you really have to look at it that way because you have no control. I mean, if I was going to take my kids bungee jumping every weekend or, jumping, parachuting. I mean, unless it's illegal. Now, I mean, if I was taking them to, I don't know, a freaking drug-induced rave party, okay, that could be a problem. But you got to really be careful, And we have, and here's the other problem is that whenever you respond and you're like, you start saying to the person, hey, you shouldn't do that. You're giving them supply. They know that they're messing with you, and more than likely, they're probably going to continue. Good. Ooh, somebody asked a question about taxes. I don't see that one though. Oh, Kit Kat said, Rick Mash question about taxes. Well, what did you say, Rick? Rick, let's find you, Rick. My question was answered by, no, it was not answered. But let me see if I can find your question, man. Let's see. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, let me grab this one. And whoa, that was not what I had in mind. Oh, that's because I forgot to delete it. Okay, Rick, here's your question. It says, without a court order without a court order and taxes coming up, who claims the child? Is it the Is it first come, first serve? We had a verbal agreement prior to the discard, but we know she's not going to honor it. I am not a tax person, and so do not take what I'm about to say as gospel. My understanding is if you put it in, this is what will happen, my understanding. Let's say you do your taxes first. You put in your taxes, you claim the kids, you process it, it goes in. Your ex puts in her taxes and claims the kids. That one's going to get flagged. So somebody's then going to have to do an amendment. More than likely, and I'm not entirely sure how this works. I've talked to my attorney about it, but it either they just pay the one who it would benefit the most. You know what, man? I'm not sure. So let me put it this way. What I do every year, I do it the second I could file, I do it. I get it in. I want it in because I don't trust her. Now, granted, she's not making any money, so it wouldn't help her. I'm sure that when she starts getting a job, she'll want to claim people. But then again, I mean, I'm only down to one kid now. So Rick, here's the deal. And this is what I did on my thing is talk to your accountant. And if you do your taxes yourself, then you might want to get an account. You might want to get a tax person. I've paid the same company to do my taxes for like the last 15 years. I don't like doing my own taxes. It stresses me out, and I don't like stress. E had said, wait, Duane, doesn't your ex surround herself with flying monkeys? I don't know what she does anymore, E. She looks for people to validate what she's doing, but I don't know. And I'm not worried about it. I don't want to hear about her. I don't go seeking out people who know her. It's not my issue anymore. Other than the money I have to pay her. All right, let me get this. Patrick had a question. Whoops, select all. Oh, man. Come on. I'm having clicky issues. All right, Patrick was, have you ever successfully changed the mind of a triangulated flying monkey family member? My ex is harvesting estranged family members for witnesses before trial in February. Wow, Patrick, that blows. That's a very common tactic. I mean, technically, I guess from what I was talking about, I was trying to do that myself because I knew she was trying to say I was a worthless piece of crap and a danger to her and the kids. So I was trying to get people who would back me up. I wasn't necessarily, and nothing of it was ever used. Dude, Patrick, if you have people in your family who are going to side against you and basically be a witness for her, those people are pieces of garbage. You need to talk with your attorney to make sure that they understand the relationship so that he can attack, which he won't because that's not what most attorneys do. But if you do have an attorney that's not a piece of garbage, he should be able to bring that, if it goes to trial, bring it up in court on why there's the animosity there to put it in a perspective. But, and let's see, you are also gone on to say, Duane, if there is new legal documents, who is to claim the child on taxes? We have a prior agreement, but I know she's not going to honor it. See, here's the problem with that. See, Rick, here's the deal, okay? And here, guys, and this is important for everybody. Family law and what they say there and tax law are two different things. So let's say hypothetically, your divorce decree says that it's 50-50. Now, let's do it this way. Let's say it's 60-40, you get 40, but the court order says you get to claim the kids on taxes. That's great. Except the child care tax credit only counts if you have the kids 50.1% of the time. If you have them 50-50, in other words, if it's a leap year and that number is absolutely even, you do not legally get that tax credit. So, I mean, if you're worried about that, you need to make sure you have the time. Now, and that would be the other thing, right? Because then you'd have to validate that you had the kids 50.1 or 60% of the time or 70% of the time. And you can't control what these people are going to do. I mean, and Rick, if your ex works and needs that thing, then here's the problem. Here's the other half of this. If you're negotiating child support and alimony, and you say, okay, like in my situation, because I said in the court order, it says I get the kids for tax purposes. It's in it. It's written in it. But it isn't set up that I get 50.1%. It's 50-50, right? So my point is because I got the tax credit when they keyed in the number and they said, Mr. Knucklehead, almost said the wrong word, he has the kids 50-50. He gets them for tax purposes. So he gets that it calculates in the tax credit for the kids, which increases child support and increased alimony. Had I thought about it, and I had actually initially considered basically saying, no, you know what? You can have the kids. You can have the kids for tax purposes because I knew damn good and well because child support isn't taxable and alimony. This year, guys, hey, this other thing to keep in mind. If your divorce is not final before 2018, or if it's not final in the next couple of days, 2019, if you are divorced, you can no longer claim alimony as a tax deduction like I can. So keep that in mind because you're losing that benefit, and obviously that's going to adjust the numbers. For instance, had I agreed to let her, or basically say you can have the kids for tax purposes, all the numbers would have went down. Child support would have been less. Alimony would have been less. Everything would have been less. And effectively, what I could have done is I could have said that to drive the numbers down, and then like you guys are talking about, I could have just claimed them on the taxes all the time. But just throw that out there. Your attorney won't tell you that because I know mine didn't. It was kind of annoying. All right. Okay, guys, what else? Oh, wow, you guys got a bunch of questions right at the end. Ooh, all right. During the marriage, did your ex surround herself with enablers and flying monkeys? He had asked that. Let me read that out loud again. E said, during the marriage, did your ex surround herself with enablers and flying monkeys? Why, yes, she did. And it was me. I was an outstanding source of supply. Anytime someone treated her like crap, I was like, oh, you're so wonderful. It shouldn't be this way. Why are they so mean to you? Yeah, I was a super source of supply. Actually, the other people she hung out with treated her like crap. But in retrospect, she could have just been saying that to try to get me to put her on the pedestal. Put her on the pedestal. All right, Cam says, I'll just, since you put that in a question, and I guess technically E put that in a question, and I didn't post it, but all right. Cam says, you said that she came back to college or went back to college to force you to keep paying to learn what? Is she working now eventually? You're funny, Cam. She went to court. She went to have you guys noticed that I'm just letting all my gray come in? I've never actually done this before. Anyways, let me back up. She went to college, I keep wanting to say court, to become a paralegal. And no one will hire her. Well, I think it's not that no one will hire her. She just doesn't want to work, well, she doesn't want to work. But so, yeah, so she went back to, when that happened, see, here's the other thing. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but it's a good time to bring this up. When this whole thing started, I was under the impression that in 2 years, I could take her back to court and try to impugn her wages and stuff like that. Like an idiot, dunk, I constantly reminded her that I was doing that. I'm like, I'm coming for you, right? And so when it got back to that time, and I remember at one point I'm like, hey, you can't, you're not going to live off me forever, which, God, she showed me, damn it. But I had said that. I'm like, you're not going to get to live off me forever. I'm coming for you. And I remember when I had that conversation, the last time this is back whenever I still would talk to her on the phone. And she's like, but we were in a long-term marriage. And I'm not trying to downplay that because, long-term marriages is a thing. And the next comment was, I'm going back to college to better myself. And I'm like, I don't give a crap. You still need to get a job. When I talked to my attorney, he's like, oh, she's got an attorney because that's a perfect move. That was before California changed their child support imputation laws, where I think like a year or two after that, they changed it, which said, no, get a job. We don't care if you're in school. You have to be doing something. It's not the other person's responsibility to pay for everything, which is which is very surprising for California, to be perfectly honest. So no, she is not working. The follow-on was, is she working now eventually? No, she is not. And the rumor is that I've heard through the kids is that she's planning on going back to school because there's grant money, so she can augment her money through that. And then I got to decide whether or not I'm going to take it back to court. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure. Kind of like a 50-50 thing. Actually, it might even be less. I might be thinking, you know what? I might just be able to ride this out and maybe it'll be okay. I don't know. That's still up in the air. So I'm not entirely sure what to do with that. So hopefully, Cam, that was helpful. Then Gray had asked a question. Let me grab Gray's comment or question. Man, you guys aren't really asking a lot of personal stuff. If you guys want to hit something about me, if I can answer it, I will. Keynote. No, I just pasted the same one in there. Darn it. Which is weird because I thought I hit copy. All right. And there we go. There it is. Gray says, can you tell me how to forget my ex-wife? I have been separated for 5 years. She does everything to hurt me when we exchange the kids. She always brings her mother or her new boyfriend. Okay, Gray. This would be, okay. I know, let me, all right. First thing, and I know you're probably already doing this, so this probably isn't going to count. You need to go through and watch this Mindset for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery playlist a few times, right? Because as you get more into it, past these other things, it starts talking about some of these things. The next thing I would highly encourage you to do, if you go over to my website and go over to let me get my mouse in the right place. Resources. these this book is really good. It potentially could help you. But the other thing, since you're still struggling after 5 years, dude, try the hypnosis stuff. You know, I know it sounds goofy, and I had no desire. I mean, I thought this was all hocus pocus crap. But at the 2 year mark or whatever, I think it was 2 year mark, I was so freaking devastated and circling the toilet bowl and not making progress that I was desperate to try different things. And I did these. I actually, this end of relationship pack is pretty good, which includes, I think, those audio files and more. And just listen to them. I would listen to them multiple times a day. I would come home, I would lay down, put them in my headphones, and put it on repeat. You know, and it helped. It took a while for it to help, but that gray is what I would encourage you to do. Full disclosure, if you do follow that link off the website and decide that you are going to try it, I do get an affiliate thing on that. But dude, guys, I use that. I mean, you know, the, what am I going to try to say? You know, this channel isn't exactly great for my manhood, you know, for my guy card, because I'm really going into the dark places I was in. And I think it's important because a lot of people won't do it, right? Especially guys. As soon as you get over it and you're feeling a bit better, then you're like, I'm strong. I got it all figured out. And that's great, right? That is awesome. The problem is for the person coming up from it, they don't, it's like, okay, well, is there somebody there who actually understands? You know, am I just out of my mind? Am I different than everyone? That's what I felt. I'm like, why is it taking me so long? That's why I share this stuff. And because I get it, right? I mean, and it would have been helpful for me if I could have found somebody who I could have related to and said, okay, you know what? His story is similar to mine. I feel that I can, you know, he's been through some of those same things I've been through. So maybe it'll work, and maybe it won't, but that's the process I took to help me. And great, if you could find a good therapist, that is really helpful too. But even with it, I had an outstanding therapist, and I was getting worse and worse. I got to the point where I'm like, can I see you multiple times, you know, a week, which I couldn't do from the insurance, but it was not good. Okay. Andrew says my ex is also a professional student as well. That's funny. Um, oh, Lady Bohannon says, hi, Duane. Happy holidays. I'm finally able to participate during a live stream. Glad you could make it. I've definitely learned the lessons about not making them aware of your next steps. They're master obstructionists. That is absolutely true, Lady Bohannon. Um, and I think a lot of us learned that lesson the hard way. Actually, honestly, for my situation, Debbie put that one together, and I didn't believe it. And I actually screwed up a couple of years ago where I told, because I wasn't sure. You know, money's tight, right? And we were gonna do something. We're gonna do the medieval time things, and I wasn't sure. I know how my kids are, and I'm like, man, I do not want to spend a boatload of money on this if they're just not going to be interested in it and they're going to pout the entire time. So I mentioned to my daughter, I'm like, hey, you know, what do you think about this? And I like a moron, I did it between the break, right? So I had the kids over the weekend. I dropped them off with their mom on Monday. They were going to be back on Wednesday. It was over the summer vacation. I figured we'd do it, you know, maybe Thursday or Friday. It was like Monday or Tuesday. No, it had to be Tuesday. They went. They went there. That was the whole coupon thing, you know. Oh wow, really? But that's where we're going. Excuse me. Oh my. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. Sorry about that. Okay. Ooh, T says I asked a question a while back. Did I miss your question, T? That's a hard one. See, the problem is it's going to be hard to search on T. T, repost the question, ma'am. Or I mean that non-gender specific. And then I'll do it because trying to search on, I won't be able to search on T because every line has a T in it. And I can't do question T. Yeah, that would be tough. So what I will do is I will do YT's question. And while T is hopefully posting theirs. Okay. YT says, question. When we lose these relationships, we think that we'll never find someone as good. Very true. Exciting and intense. When you met Debbie, how did it compare apart from absence of narc issues? It actually was bizarre because she treated me with respect. She respected my boundaries. We had deep conversations that did demonstrate a lot of compatibility on our parts and a lot of the things we thought about. I actually waited a little bit instead of just being, bleh, what do you call it? Whatever you just say everything, just blurt everything out. I held the little things back just to see, just to make sure that it wasn't like, I like coffee. I like coffee too. Puppies are nice. I think puppies are nice too. I like Jeeps. I like Jeeps too. That type of thing. And honestly, it actually was a little bit of a problem. I know we've talked about this in the past, YT, is whenever the ex started ramping things up, whenever she started trying to create more problems, I completely crashed. And at the time with Debbie treating me in this way, in this positive way, it really messed with my head. One of the things that was really interesting early on is I used to set myself up for disappointment and for basically covert narcissistic abuse. So if I was to do something with Debbie, I would be like, hey, I made this, try it. You're probably not going to like it. I would always kind of like give that out to where, yeah, it's no good. So like if I got, and now I understand what it was, is that it's like, okay, so if she attacks me or says, ooh, this tastes like crap, or ridicule me on it or whatever, that I've already kind of prepared myself for it. I'm trying to diffuse it. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I remember at one point she was like, why do you do that? We haven't even tried it yet. You don't even know if I'm not going to like it. Why are you assuming that I'm going to hate it or that I'm going to, not like something that you like or whatever? Anyway, so hopefully that answered that question. Let me scroll down and see if T, that was not yes, okay. He is 60. Hey, T, re-ask your question. And I'll hit it because I'm not sure what you were asking, and just put question in front of it. And while we're waiting for that, hey, JP Valamir, let me. All right. Okay. JP says, last night I went to the club with my ex-girlfriend. We have a fall through. We had a fall through, and yet I still want to be with her. I am devoted. She kicked me out of her house. I don't know why I keep falling. Or falling? I don't know if you mean by falling for her or what. Here's the thing, JP. You need to work on yourself, buddy. You need to, let me come back over here. No, not there. Oh, wow. I, like a knucklehead, closed that. That was not smart. You need to check out that book that I was talking about over here under my resources tab. This one, Rebuilding When Your Relationships Ends by Bruce Fisher and Robert Alberti. I know there's probably other books, but I really like this one. And focus on yourself. You need to work on yourself to not that you're not attracting these people, because we technically are, but that you have more confidence, you're more secure in your foundation if you're doing the spiritual talk, but that you're basically more confident in what you're doing and you feel good about yourself. The problem is that you are wrapping your value around another person, right? And that's what a lot of us get into trouble of, is that our validation doesn't come from within. We're not self-validating. We're validating by our girlfriends, by our family, by our jobs, by our friends, by whatever the hell it is. And you're not doing it on your own. It's external. When it's external, people can control you. And on top of that, it's not very attractive, especially in a man, because you're wishy-washy. And I know I know that played a part in my relationship falling apart with my ex. And you have to work on yourself. Okay. So, I would recommend that book that went over there. I mean, it's kind of in the, how do I do that? Like right up there. And if you click on the link, it'll take you to the Amazon page. So for it, and you can get it through Kindle, and I think they even have an audiobook of it. Let me go back. Okay, so T, you're gonna make me try to look for it. Oh God. Okay. All right. Let me try to look. Let's see, Rick T. Okay. Well, let me see if I can do a search on T space. You're killing me, T. See, now I'm getting don't. See, this is the reason I don't want to do this, because it's hard to search on somebody with one letter on a name. Yeah, I'm getting you won't, you can't, you didn't, don't, doesn't answer. Okay, this is killing me. There's like 26 different. Let me see if I can find it. Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, I don't see it. Unless it was so far back that it's out of the chat. Okay, somebody throw me a bone. If you guys can find T's question, copy and paste it because I can't find it, and I'm going to be otherwise I'll be sitting here scrolling around, which is what I'm doing right now, trying to see if I can find it, which is kind of tough. But then I start noticing that all the other stuff that I missed. Easy for me to say. All right, I'm going to stop searching because that's just driving me crazy. All right, let me scroll back down to the bottom. Hey, there it is, T question. All right, thank you, Greg. You, sir, are a lifesaver today. Thank you very much for that. All right, if I could give you a special thing, I would. All right, okay. T says, so he lost his job and is now working at about half his wage. How will this work out in the divorce? Well, it depends. More than likely, or there's a high probability that if he did it intentionally to not to lower child support, it's highly possible the judge will say, hey, bonehead, I'm going to use round numbers, you have been making $100,000 a year for the last 10 years. And now you've quit your job and you're working for $50,000 a year. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to get your job back. And then I'm going to set child support and alimony as if you were making $100,000 a year. Guys, now, if you can pull it off, I guess, if you want to frickin' play Russian roulette and you're okay with quitting your job and stepping down from your career to do something else, by all means, I guess you got to do whatever the hell you want to do. I mean, in some ways, I kind of wish I was doing something different and didn't have that whole gigantic bogey that I'm trying to pay her, because it's basically made me a slave to this job in this area, and I'm pretty much trapped. But at the same time, I don't want to walk away from my career yet. Anyways, my point is it's a stupid move for the most part. I wouldn't recommend it, because I've known a few people who that's blown up in their face. However, we do have a couple of people on the channel who their exes have done exactly this, and I do not. Here's the deal. This is what you'll notice, and this is really annoying. A narcissist, for whatever reason, maybe it's because they're demon possessed, can get away with anything. We have another subscriber who her ex is a doctor. Made a lot of freaking money. Actually, I think he was, round numbers, $1 million a year. Goes to divorce, gets himself fired from his position at the hospital. Instead of making $1 million, now he's only making $200,000. And for whatever reason, he has been able to get that number, the support number, just lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered. Whereas somebody like me, if I did something like, let's say this, and what would happen in my situation, let's say I lost my job for no fault of my own, it probably would have been the opposite. They would have said, you know what, knucklehead, we don't care. You're going to pay her, X amount, which probably would have been, if I would have went from what I was working to working at, a bagger at Walmart, it probably would have been, I would have owed her 200% of my, everything I made would have to go to her, if not more. So T, the thing on that is, it depends. There's a risk if you're dealing with like I just said, where you're dealing with a narcissist and you're not, Sometimes it works out to where they would say that they'd set the child support at half. But here's the thing, guys. Child support is always, well, until while your kids are under 18 or whatever the age is where they are managed and controlled by the family support or family court system, you can always go back. So he would have to work half. If let's say hypothetically T that they say, okay, fine, you were making 100, now you make 50. We're going to set child support at 50, and you make, whatever. Now instead of the child support being $50,000 a year, it's going to be $25,000. I'm just using round numbers to try to make it easy. And then so they set it, whatever. A year later or whatever, 6 months later, he goes back and he gets his job and he's making 100 grand again. You call up Department of Child Support Services and say, I want a reevaluation. Most areas will let you do that once a year. So what is he going to do? Granted, it hurts you if he does it, but at the end of the day, if he's going to torpedo himself for forever, then, that's his own stupid mistake. I've known people who've destroyed their lives by playing that stupid little game, and they're toast. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars in arrears and penalties. They can't get a driver's license. They always have warrants out for their arrest. It isn't worth it. And it could go either way. More than likely, I know I'm kind of rambling on this question. More than likely, it's a dangerous move for him. Unless he can come up with a real reason why he's done it. So I don't know if that answered your question. Oh, and to copy, all you got to do is you just let's see here. I know. I'll do it like this. Okay, we'll go like this. We'll go like this. No, not there. We'll go there. I'll bring that over to Chrome so it shows up. The way you do that, let's say I wanted to copy Scott's. You click and drag until it highlights what you want. You right click on it. If you're on a Mac, you can right click, or you can alt click if you don't have it set up, and you hit copy. On a PC, same thing. Right click on it, and it'll drop this menu down. You just say copy, and then I'll just go back over here. Then you would just come over, and then I can actually just paste it in, and boom. See, there you go. Sorry about that, Scott. I know I was kind of highlighting your thing as an example, but that is how you do that. Hopefully that was helpful. And wow. That sounds weird. I wonder if you guys are hearing that. Okay. Oh my God. Oh, Scott, I just realized what your comment was that I highlighted. That is hilarious. But you were posting a book. I'm an idiot. That was funny. Oh, dear God. I don't even know what to think about that one. You guys got me on that one. You got me on that, Scott Buchanan. You tricked me, man. Yeah, I blew that one. Oh, well, I'm not worried about it. I didn't say it, so at least YouTube won't catch it and demonetize my channel and kick me off the platform. All right. God, we've been going for what, a little over an hour? What are we at? An hour and 30 minutes? Anything else you guys want to hit? Should we wrap it up? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And did anybody comment on my scruffiness? Isn't it awesome how it's like all white? This is terrible. What the hell? I did shave my neck because, God, it was bothering me. I'm trying to see how long I can do this and how long I can actually let it last. All right. Let's see. Lady Bohannon says, embrace the silver fox look, Duane. Why, thank you very much. I have a friend of mine who's about my age, and the knucklehead started dyeing his hair. It's like, come on, dude, really? Anyways, okay, so Gerald says, hi, Duane. I have gone no contact. My narc want my physical address and said, or else his lawyer will publish my name in a local journal. His lawyer and mine has been dealing, thanks, by email. That sounds just like fear tactics. Double check, Gerald, with your attorney if that's even a possible thing, My narc wants my physical address and said, or else his lawyer will publish my name in a local. Whatever. Publish away. Give me a break. You know, I swear to God, people are just so freaking. I digress. Anyways, Shay says, been lurking since Duane started the live stream. Glad he's in such a good mood. He's so much help. Aw, thanks, Shay. Appreciate that. John says you look like you lost weight. I don't know. I haven't weighed myself. I know that because of my blood sugar issues, I'm really trying to eat differently. So maybe it's helping. My numbers are starting to go down. Thank God. However, though, I think my numbers have gone down, and now it's. I know sometimes when your numbers are high, and then when they go back, when they start lowering, it'll dork with your vision, and my vision seems a little wonky right now. So anybody who is pre-diabetic or what's the word? Is kind of leaning that way. If you can, for the love of God, do whatever you can to try to do it. When I was first diagnosed, or when they were saying, "Man, you're like getting really close to the diabetic side," I remember. Okay, I'll tell you story time. I will tell you a little story. When my 6-year-old, or before she was born, whenever the ex was pregnant with her, she had gestational diabetes. And she came home really upset one day, crying and everything. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? What happened? And she's like, they said I have gestational diabetes. I'm like, okay, well, everything is manageable. What do we do? Well, they want me to eat a diabetic diet. And I'm like, okay, we switch. Not a problem. I'm not going to make me, freaking spit, whatever. And whenever you need to eat something else, we'll just switch. Not a problem. So we did. She did she did all the cooking and everything. So we switched to a diabetic diet, and her everything went great with her. Excuse me. She lost weight, and her pediatrician, it's a pediatrician that does the gynecologist. I can't remember which one it is. Whatever. Gave her the thumbs up. Everything was good. Had the baby. I mean, I was losing weight. I was feeling better. And a year afterwards, she's like, you know what? I'm where I want. I lost the weight I wanted. I don't want to do this anymore. We're not doing it. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what? I'm like, hold on a second. Wait, we've been married for 15 years at the time. I'm like, gynecologist. Thank you. I couldn't remember. It's been a while. It's been like 6 years. No, not 6 years. 13 years. Actually, it'd be 14 years because my 13-year-old, anyways, whatever. Anyways, so she said, no, we're done. And I was so depressed by that I just said, F it. And I'm like, freaking lay on the carbs. My weight came back, and I was basically slowly trying to kill myself because I was devastated that she gave not a rat's ass about me. Obstetrician. There it is. Is that what it is? Baby doctor. I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, so yeah, that was, anyways, my point is, guys, if you're deal with, just do what you need to do, because it gives you nerve damage. I got nerve damage, neuropathy, fucks with it, messes with your eyes, messes with your organs, all kinds of problems. And most of the time, you don't even feel it. It's not that you feel like crap, or you may feel like crap, but you don't realize that you're having this slow destruction of your body. So, and I look, I get it. I understand. I mean, I understand. I've been struggling with it, and to be perfectly honest, it hasn't been until this last time where okay. The other thing, back on the story time, is when the divorce happened, and I was paying her so much money, and I had no money. I couldn't afford it. My medication was like $100 a month. I couldn't afford freaking gas for the car. So I stopped. I got really angry, and I'm like, well, F it. Oh, well, can't take my medication, can't do anything. So my stuff was out of control for a long time. I am lucky that I have my fingers and toes and my vision. Maybe my hearing is partly to blame for that. I don't know. But anyways, I know that's a little bit of a rant. Greg says, question. You said question, so I am going to grab it. Keynote. Greg says, mine did the same thing. Started the diet, then quit. Wanted me to work out, and I started, then she quit. In my humble opinion, it was a way of control. Oh, absolutely, Greg. Absolutely. You got to do this stuff for yourself, right? That's why this is so important to have your own self-validation, because then you're not doing it for someone else, you're doing it for yourself. Now, it's good. I mean, if you're doing it to make your, you want your spouse to be attracted to you and you want to have more energy and you want to be able to do other things, that's cool. But at the end of the day, it's got to be for you. And if it's not, it's going to make it really tough. Let's see. Shay says, I gave up meat and dairy 18 months ago. Feel so much better. Went from a size 8 to a size 2. Holy cow. Congratulations. Weight melts off, but you feel better. Please make vegan jokes though. Actually, I'm actually kind of leaning more towards the keto diet just because carbs tear me up. I have carbs and my blood sugar goes through the roof. I was talking to a buddy of mine at work. He's we were talking, he said, check this out. Okay. Talking about diabetes. I know we're completely off topic, but bear with me on this. Was chatting with him the other day and he's like, yeah, we were talking about diabetes. Cause he's also, well, he thought he was kind of like, dilly-dallying with the numbers. He goes, yeah, I checked my blood sugar number the other day and it was 540. I'm like, 540? Like, dude, that's like almost coma, go to the hospital numbers. I'm like, if you would have called your doctor, they would have told you to go to urgent care or the emergency room. I know because I've had that conversation with my doctor before when I had that number like that. And the crazy part about it is I didn't necessarily feel bad. I felt normal, but I mean, it was bad. And I told him, like, dude, you cannot, I said, you can't eat, if you're having that kind of problem, you cannot eat carbs. And he's like, what? I'm like, chips and salsa? You can't eat that. He's like, I can't have my nachos? I'm like, no, dude. Like, you can't eat pasta either. He's like, all the things the frozen pasta panini things, I can't. I'm like, no, you can't eat that. I'm like, dude, you could go buy 2 pounds of shrimp and put cauliflower on it and you could be good, but it's not good. Ooh, Greg says, no carbs afternoon. You need carbs in the AM and lunch if you are active, protein and veggies for dinner. Yeah, there are so much carbs in there. My doctor told me, said, Duane, 36 carbs a day. That's all you can have. Try to have less. Like, guys, look at when next time you go, when you go to your cupboard here later this afternoon to eat, look at the damn thing and see how much carbs is and everything. So I checked my blood sugar this morning. It was okay. I'll check it when we're done. Anyways, I digress. So, okay. All right, guys. I think we're about ready to wrap. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Happy Again says, I am obligated to share a change of income increase if there is no exchange of child support. You're not obligated to do any. Well, let me put it this way. I wouldn't. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna ponder this. I'm gonna put this on the screen. So as we're doing this, anybody watching this can see what we're talking about. Happy Again says, am I obligated to share a change of income increase if there is no exchange of child support? I would say even if there is an exchange of child support, you're not obligated to tell them anything. And especially if you're dealing with a toxic ex, if they're why douse yourself with kerosene and give them a match? Okay. If they want more or they think they're entitled to more, they can take you back to court or they can call their local child support services department to do it. If you feel guilty about it and you're like, you know what, I was making $50,000, I just got a huge promotion, I'm making $100, and I want the state to take more money, I'm gonna voluntarily change child support to be more. I wouldn't. There's no, they have the ability to ask whenever. Michael says that. Duane, the change in income depends on state law and the court order. Some states require a change in income of 15% must be reported. I hear you, Michael, but I would say, I wouldn't. Why would you do that? I don't know I don't know if in California it says you have to report. I know that it has to be a certain amount, otherwise they're not going to do it. But I think it's a pretty small amount. It's like 10% or $25 or something. If the change in support. So, I am not an attorney, so do not take what I'm saying as legal advice. If you're asking me if I got a $50,000 increase, I absolutely would not be running over to the ex to say, "Oh, look, I'm making more. Do you want more money?" No, I ain't doing that. Ain't gonna happen. So I hear what you're saying, Michael, and maybe I would be violating a court order, but take me back to court. That would be my take on that. So maybe not a popular answer, but that is my take on that. Let's see. All right, Gray. Oh, Gray asked a question. So, oh, that's funny. Alan Mackin says, mindset for carbohydrate abuse recovery. I love it. That should be my next channel. Dad surviving carbs. DS. Oh my God. Oh, that is hilarious. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh my God. I can just imagine the live stream on that. That is awesome. Ooh, Lantus can totally crush blood sugars of 540. Lantus. Is that slow reacting? I wonder if I'm on Lantus. I think I am. If that's the injection. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you don't take care of it, you get to have injections and take a ton of medication. It's outstanding. Not. Anyways, I digress. Let me grab. Oh man, I just unselected this. Let me grab Gray's question. Oh, I do want to know what you guys were talking about when I was talking about the mandatory telling. What's your opinion? Do you guys think I'm a knucklehead on that, or do you agree with me on that? And while we're waiting for that, Gray says, any of you get sad when you don't have Father's Day cards, birthday cards, or even Christmas cards? When I mention it to her, she, I guess, says, cry my mind to forget. Oh, crud. I don't understand the words you're saying, Matt. Sorry. Get these things. My kids are 5 and 7. When I mention it to her, she says something my mind tried to forget. Okay, here's the deal. All right. Keep in mind if you're dealing with Gray. Okay. That actually stuff doesn't bother me. It's like even the Christmas stuff. I told, yeah, I am on Lantus. I do that. I do 40 milligrams of that crap. And if my numbers don't drop, my doctor wants me to jump it to 45. And that crap's expensive. So I'm paying that and some other stuff. Yeah, it's injectable. Are you using that, Leon? Or Leanna? Sorry. Oh, thank you for that. Says, sorry, my mind, try to forget these things. Okay, let me get back. I'm going to pull this back up since I got messed up. All right, Gray, here's the deal. You have to keep in, okay, yeah, I don't necessarily worry about stuff like that. But keep in mind that your kids are stuck in the middle, right? And if you're dealing with a toxic, narcissistic ex, you can rest assured that they're not going to be like, okay, Johnny, let's go buy Daddy a card. Ain't going to happen. Now, you would hope that they would make one on their own or something like that. Don't worry about it, man. What I would say, Gray, is if when you're with them, no worry. So you say, sorry about I am French. Not sorry. Most of the time I can guess what it is, but sometimes I can't. And trust me, people who are, English is their main language. Sometimes they use abbreviations that mess me up, especially when it's live. Anyways, my point is focus on how your kids are with you. If your kids are with you and they love you and they are affectionate with you and you know that, all the other stuff is secondary, right? If you're worried about cards, have a friend, when you have your kids, have a friend or something, take the kids to go get them, right? Don't expect the ex to do it, and don't expect your 5 and 7-year-old to try to get their mom or our dad, if it's in the other situation, to do that. I think one of the things I wish I would have done is I wish that I would have been able to make my peace with this and take the kids to go buy Mother's Day cards, and little trinkets. But I was so angry and bitter. I mean, being full disclosure, angry and bitter about it, that there was no way in heck that I was going to spend an extra dime on that monster. But I wouldn't have been spending it on her. I would have been for the kids to make them feel good, right? It was a stupid mistake. I wish I wouldn't have done it. their kids are old enough now. It's not a non-issue, so I can't really go back on it. And guys, here's the thing: try not to take those type of things and really internalize it, because you got to keep it in the perspective of everything, right? Like, for instance, you roll back okay, one thing that did bother me is when the kids wouldn't text me. They'd be at their mom's for a week, during the beginning part of this, whenever the custody was 80-20 and then 70-30, and they wouldn't answer me. I could text them, hey guys, what's going on? Try to FaceTime, whatever, and nothing. And it hurt my feelings. When I finally was able to take a step back and look at it, that when they were with me, they loved me, they were affectionate with, okay. In the early stages, it was a little more complicated, but even with all the complication, I still felt that they actually loved me. And as soon as I pivoted on that and focused it on that, it got better faster. We gotta change how we look at some of this stuff, and anyways, that's my take on that. Hopefully, Gray, that helps. Yeah, sorry about the thing. I didn't mean to. You were talking about your French thing. I'm not a problem. Sometimes like I said, I try to decipher what people are saying most of the time. Okay. All right. Leanna says 40 units. Diabetic relatives. Yeah, that sucks. My numbers. But anyways, hey, they're going down, right? I'm trying to do what I need to do. The only thing I haven't been able to do is work out. I need to go start walking and doing more physical stuff. Normally I freaking hurt myself. I blow my back out or whatever, and it makes it tough. All right, Gray also says, same thing when I call to talk to the kids twice a week. They don't want answers or answer angry, saying they don't want to talk to me. And the ex says I can't force them. You know what, Gray? This is what I would do. Be like, okay, in that situation, this is what I would recommend. When you call them and they're upset, he goes, hey, hey guys, or hey Bill, or whatever. Hey Johnny, or hey buddy. No, you're busy. Just want to say hi. I'm thinking about you. I love you. I hope you're having a great day, and you can tell me about it whenever I get to see you on the weekend, right? Make it quick, right? The purpose of it is to just plant the seed in your kid's mind that you still care about them and you think about them. That's it. If that's it and they run off, fine, right? If they're being buttheads about if they won't even do that, just like, hey guys, come on, I miss you. I just want to hear your voice just for a minute. Like whenever they're back with you, you want to talk to them. And that's what you do. Yeah. Keep in mind, Gray, here's the other thing. If they know, okay, Gray, let me ask you this, Gray. How are the kids when they're with you? Do they treat you like they hate you and they don't want to be around you? When they're with you, with no one else around, do they treat you like they care about you, or do they treat you like they hate you? So I'll wait a second for you to answer that. Let me see what else we got. Yeah, okay. They love me so much. Dude, you've already won. Here's the deal. They know that in mommy's presence, if they show any affection or love or attention and she sees it, it's going to make her unhappy. You're talking about a 5 and a 7-year-old. They are completely in tune to that, right? And they don't want to lose the other person. So, and you have the best time together. That is the key, dude. That is what matters. All this other stuff is BS. And it's a triangulation move by your ex to try to get you to make it an issue. Because then if you bring the kids over and you're like, hey guys, you really make me, whatever, you poke them in the eye, you're falling into that trap. It's a trap. How did I do on the voice? You guys have to let me know. Give me a thumbs up if I sounded like Arkabar or whatever his name is. Anyways, that's the key. So if when they are with you, if they act like they love you and they're affectionate with you, it doesn't matter. It hurts, but put it in perspective. Remember, they are, they have the warden, they have the prison guard watching them. And if they say the wrong thing, they're going to be punished. So they're not going to say the wrong thing. They're going to be, well, I don't want to talk to you, Daddy. I got to go, right? So just keep that in mind, man. More a tenor Yoda. I'll have to work on that one. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Greg. Shay says you got to make the effort even if you can't get through to talk with your kids. Jeez, sorry. 29-year-old son had a birthday yesterday, but his dad didn't make the effort to remember. I butchered that comment. Sorry about that. And Kit Kat says to Gray, always upbeat regardless of how you are acting in his presence. Yes, the warden. That's when that's what we've got going on. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so tough, man. And that's why I periodically make videos just reminding people of that. And that's the key. How are they with you? If they treat you like crap while they're with you, you got a problem, right? If they're lashing out at you when they're with you, that doesn't mean it's completely gone, but you have to be incredibly careful. But if when they're with you, they love you and they're affectionate with you and they're hugging on you and they want to sit with you and they want you to tell them a story and all those things, then you're good, man. You are good. Focus on that. Don't do anything to make them feel guilty or try to make them feel safe and secure. Yes, they will throw you under the bus, like mine have. Unfortunately, that's normal, but keep in mind, you got to keep it in perspective. They got to make sure that the beast is fed. Otherwise, they are going to pay. And unfortunately, loving us in their presence is not generally tolerated. And the sad part is, like I think in my situation, I think the kids, they can't be manipulated that way. So I think, it kind of works its way out. Anyways. All righty. I think I'm starting to get... Oh, wow. Did I actually go for almost 2 hours? Holy cow. All right. Well, here I'm... I'm being silly. Leanna says, I think Duane is the radio voice spectrum. He could have his own show on CNN. Wouldn't that be nice? That would be awesome. All right, guys. So here's the thing. If you are new to this channel and you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing because it helps me out. Throw me a bone. And hit the bell notification so that you'll actually know when I post videos. For this but for this holiday period, I have been able to do a lot more, and that's been outstanding. But, once the schedule goes back to normal, it will be a little tougher. Anyways, so on that, let me do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me on this Saturday. I think it's Saturday. I hope you've enjoyed this an impromptu, unscheduled live stream. I appreciate the fact that you guys didn't bombard me with a ton of personal questions, although I was ready for it. I think we had an outstanding discussion. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. You are probably the most outstanding, you are the best viewers and subscribers somebody could ask for. You guys have been outstanding. I love the support that you've had for me and this channel and for each other. You guys are amazing. On that, have a great rest of your day. I might do some more live streams, so watch out for those. And I'll chat with you guys in the next video.